Tra-la-la! It's me, Captain Underpants, and since it's my own movie, I think I'm going to be reviewing this for you today. Hey, get out of here. This is my movie review. Get out of here, Captain Underpants. What are you, young man? What are you supposed to be? Are you my new sidekick? No, I'm supposed to be reviewing this movie, and you're kind of supposed to get out of here so I can review it. Fine then. I guess I have to have some more crime to go solve then. So hey guys, welcome to my new movie review. As you can tell by my intro, I am going to review Captain Underpants for you today. This film is based off the famous Dave Pickley children's books of the same name. He's also written The Dumb Bunnies and Dog Man, I think, is another one he's worked on and stuff. So he's worked on a lot of really funny stuff for kids. Me personally, I remember reading the Dumb Bunny books. I just had a lot of fun reading those as a kid, and it's great to see one of his stories come to life on the big screen, which is Captain Underpants. In this film, you guys, and also kind of in the books as well, that kind of follows a similar plot. It's about two kids who are always getting in trouble, and they're always being sent to the principal's office. And they really hate this principal. They hate this school. It's just a very gloomy, dumpy environment that's hard to learn in. And so one day, because they're so sick of being sent to the principal's office and they hate this guy so much, they decide to hatch a scheme where they can turn him into this underwear character called Captain Underpants. They both like to draw characters and create comic books together and create these really goofy drawings. And one they really like is Captain Underpants. And so what they do the next day is one of them got a hypno ring from a cereal box, and so they go to school the next day and they hypnotize the teacher when they're both sent to the office again. And this guy really does believe he's Captain Underpants. Just by the snap of a finger, these kids can turn him into this superhero character and turn him back into the principal. They also can't get him wet, like he can't be exposed to the rain or wash his hands or anything, because if he does, then he'll immediately turn back into the principal and the whole Captain Underpants thing doesn't work anymore. But it's all fun and games for a while. They kind of have fun and do these pranks with this character. But it's all fun and games until a science teacher is hired at the school, and his name, believe it or not, is Professor Poopy Pants. And so he goes by Professor P because he's made fun of so much by his name. And he has a plan to rid the world of laughter so that his inventions can be better appreciated because they're always making fun of his name and they're not taking him seriously. So he's trying to rid the world of laughter. And so these two kids take this opportunity to try to use Captain Underpants as a real hero to stop Professor Poopy Pants from ridding the world of laughter. So overall, guys, I really enjoyed Captain Underpants a lot. It definitely had that Dave Pickley, Dumb Bunnies sense of humor in this movie that is also used in his Captain Underpants books, that I really appreciate. I really think Dave Pickley is a very funny man. I think he can write really funny stories for kids that don't even read that often, and be able to find ways to get them to read more and to draw more and stuff like that. So for my actual review of Captain Underpants, you guys, I thought it was very well written. It was a very good script. It's very funny. It definitely had that Dave Pickley creative sense of humor that's required for a movie called Captain Underpants, and kind of making it interesting the whole way, the whole time. It's just a very well written film that I think is very well grounded in what it really wants out of the Captain Underpants character. This film also, believe it or not, has great character development. We really kind of learn why Professor Poopy Pants is doing these really bad things, why he kind of wants to rid the world of laughter and all this other stuff. And we really kind of learn from these kids. You know, these kids kind of grow and learn from their mistakes and realize, you know, kind of how it's nice to have this, you know, fantasy with this principal, but it's also a drag because, you know, now what are they going to do? Are they going to have to supervise him all the time? Are they going to have to turn him back to the principal and kind of go through the whole run of the mill again of, you know, being sent to the principal's office for doing bad things while also just trying to make the school more fun and everything like that. So I really do think this film has a great sense of character development in the sense that they learn from something. Even the principal himself learns the value of having a sense of humor and to be loved by somebody and stuff like that. So this film really does have a great time with developing its characters. It really does feel fun while watching this happen. This film is also extremely funny, like I put together earlier. There's even a line when they're doing the origin story for Captain Underpants in their, their first issue in their treehouse, where this police officer just goes up and says, "Man, sir, please put some pants on," and stuff like that. So there's just really funny stuff like that where he's out and about, and people are just kind of in shock that this guy's doing all this in his underwear, and they kind of keep reminding him to put pants on and stuff. It's just, I don't know, it's just really, really funny to watch. And if you can get into this movie, you can kind of get into the sense of humor and what it's about. It's actually a really funny movie to watch. And like I mentioned earlier, the Dave Pickley sense of humor was used in the Dumb Bunnies and the Dog Man and Captain Underpants and all these other stuff he's worked on. His humor and creativity is live and well in this movie. You can definitely tell he had a blast with creating this concept for this character, and whether he was a part of the script writing process or not, I'm not 100% sure. I believe the director of Neighbors wrote the screenplay of this movie. But yeah, the Dave Pickley humor and creativity, if you love what he does as an author, you're going to really like what he does here in this movie too. And also, I just really appreciate this chemistry between the two friends. Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch are the two friends in this movie, and they just have a really fun time. You can tell during the voice acting process, just making sure these two friends have chemistry and just really want to make the school a better place. They're just so sick of going to this really gloomy place all the time for school. They really do want to learn. They really do want to emphasize and grow their art skills, and be able to use their comic books and these little things that they do for pranks, and hopefully find something down the road in life that will help them do something with these skills that they have at an early age. And I just really appreciate how the screenplay really took a lot of time making sure the chemistry of these two friends really work well in this movie. And like I was saying earlier, this film really does have a great villain. I really do think kind of the idea of why this villain is doing these really horrible things and trying to rid the world of laughter and trying to get people to appreciate science more, and being able to create things where traffic in the morning going to work can be easier and stuff like that. How he really does want to better the world, but he's trying to better the world in a very sinister way that isn't the greatest way to go about bettering the world and so forth. So I really do think that they made a great villain here, and you can tell Nick Kroll, who voiced the villain, had a very fun time voicing him as well. And also another funny thing I kind of noticed in this movie is the way that these two kids kind of come up with Captain Underpants and all these crazy other comic books and stuff is kind of similar to how the creators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came up with their idea for Ninja Turtles. They kind of were just goofing around, eating pizza, drinking sodas and beers and stuff, trying to make each other laugh. And I think it's kind of funny how that idea of this real life situation of these two men coming up with these Ninja Turtles is kind of similar how these two kids came up with this idea of creating this guy who wears underwear for superhero characters. So just kind of a funny thing I noticed. So I just really liked how creative and funny this movie was. But for my negatives of Captain Underpants, because unfortunately it's not a perfect film, there are some occasional broken rules in this movie, such as most pretty much for the most part throughout the course of this movie, whenever these kids snap their fingers, when they do this, he can switch between being the principal and being Captain Underpants. And there's one point in the movie where the finger snap thing just doesn't work at all, and it's just they're in a dry environment. It makes sense. The principal is trying to do this harsh punishment for these kids at one point, just like, why don't they just snap their fingers? They'll turn back into Captain Underpants and it'll be no problem. So there's small moments like that where it's just like, okay, it's just trying to be the story and all this other stuff. So I really wish the film could have been more consistent with its rules, because it makes sense when he's standing in the rain, but when they snap their fingers where it's completely dry in the school, how come he can't just turn back into Captain Underpants again? So um, another negative I have with this movie is certain scenes feel too focused on humor. There's so many scenes in this movie that are focused on trying to make you laugh that they kind of forget to get back to the story at a reasonable time. It's fine if you want to tell some good jokes while the story is kind of being set up and everything like that, but there's some scenes in this movie that are just so dedicated on making you laugh that they kind of forgot about the story in the process. And then my last negative of this movie is some people are either going to really love the sense of humor in this movie, or they're really going to be annoyed by the sense of humor in this movie. If you really can't get into the whole, man dressing up in underwear or a professor called Professor Poopy Pants kind of thing, kind of idea, you might not be able to get into this movie as well as, let's say, like I did or kids will or stuff like that. But if you can really get into that kind of sense of humor, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this movie. But if you really can't, if that's really not for you, this film might be kind of a hard film to sit through, to be honest. So overall, I'm going to give Captain Underpants an 8.5 out of 10. I had a really fun time with this movie. It's well written, it has great character development. Dave Pickley's sense of humor is still alive and well to this day after almost 20 years of writing books. The chemistry of the two friends is fun. Like, I love the villain in this movie. I love how the two friends are very similar to the TMNT creators of how they came up with their idea for comic books. But like I said, for some of these negatives, some of the broken rules kind of ruined the fun of this movie. It kind of made the film feel inconsistent at times. Certain scenes feel too dedicated to humor over story. And then I really would have preferred a film that could have reached out to everybody rather than just the fans of this and the fans of this sense of humor. So I really think of a film that could have reached out to everybody, I think would have been a little bit more fun to experience as well. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. I do highly recommend Captain Underpants. It's very fun to watch. But like I said, if you really can't get into this sense of humor, it might be kind of difficult to sit through. But if you can really get into what the film is going for, you'll have a fun time with it.